I would say actually two big surprises.
Okay.
The one is, how big is the iceberg?
Yeah.
People usually underestimate data analytics, the amount of engineering. Every time I believe that we are finished, our customers came back and said, we would like to do more complex analytics, more data, more integration, different types of metrics, and so on. So, a year ago, I believe that we are 12 months from being kind of finished on engineering side. We are probably 18 months today. So it's a beast that people usually underestimate. And that's why most analytics from even big vendors and big SaaS vendors is actually, not sufficient, and users are looking for different solutions. The second surprise over the last 1 year is that customers don't actually know how to measure themselves. Even like in domains like sales or marketing and so on, they come to us and say, well, we don't want to buy BI. We would like to buy best practices. Tell us how should we measure our sales force? How should we measure our marketing automation tools and so on? So Zendesk is a good example. All of the metrics for Zendesk are actually crowdsourced by our users. So our users are telling us what metrics they should use. We are building into the product, and we are updating the Zendesk plugin or Zendesk project almost every few weeks.
Great. Other questions? Andy, you got a question?
Yeah, congratulations on great growth. The BI and the analytics space is quite crowded, and I guess I'm curious to know on which metrics you compete best. Is it better visualization? Is it just an ease of deployment and a cost advantage?
Yeah, I would say in our case, it's kind of the fact that it's end-to-end product. Most analytics, BI is a value chain. You cannot go BI. You have to buy, connectivity or ETL from ETL vendor. You have to buy data warehouse from data warehouse vendor, and so on. So it actually takes usually 12, 18 months easily to build BI project. In our case, we believe that it can be done in 6 to 9 weeks, and it's because I'm a believer in end-to-end product. The fact that we can take data from web-based APIs, and we can deliver a fully finished dashboard and report and so on.
I'm not sure that the customers would want to know, but I'm curious to know, what are the infrastructure stacks underneath that you rely on?
So we are all based on AWS, as a underlying kind of cloud-based stack. So, and last week was a busy week for us, as you can imagine, and I wrote a blog post about it, and I had a couple thousand visitors on that alone. But the thing is that BI, because it's kind of a value chain, it was always designed as enterprise infrastructure, and you cannot take enterprise infrastructure and deploy it into the cloud. So we had to actually decompose BI into cloud-based services. So we have a number of cloud-based stateless services. So when people look at our infrastructure, it actually almost doesn't resemble traditional BI, because we have services that are stateless, that are distributed, that can run on EC2 machines and so on. Traditional BI would be more like, application server, doing some calculations.
Roman, let's say you had a special power. You could actually freeze time. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if you had the opportunity to blow GoodData up, start from scratch, how would you change your infrastructure?
I actually, my main focus, I wouldn't. My main focus over the last 3 years was always on a use case. Because BI is such a difficult problem from a use case perspective. What are the metrics? How people use, use BI and so on. So in our case, we actually built, when we started, we built a very good set of abstraction layers, and those abstraction layers actually focus us on the high-end on kind of visible problems like use cases, and we are rebuilding the underlying infrastructure based on those use cases. So we actually, if you look at from outside, it looks completely like it looked 3 years ago. Under the abstraction layers, we moved the databases. We have different way how to do cross-tabulation. I don't know what else. It's kind of cloud allows us. And I built before GoodData, I built a company called Systinet, and we had one of our biggest customers was Bank of America, and they gave us 2 deployment windows every year. So that was the rate of innovation then, when I had 2 hours in summer and 2 hours in the winter to upgrade my system. At GoodData, we do release every 2 weeks. So I have much greater ability to react and actually rebuild the system as needed.
And for somebody that's new to GoodData, how long does it take to build a report?
Oh, most of it is actually already built into these applications. Okay. But even if you're new to GoodData, it's very quick. We are very much focused on notion of metric. So we ask 2 questions. What do you want to measure? What metric? And how do you want to break it down? So I can take, let's say, my open pipeline metric, and I can say, I want to break it down by my types of opportunities in new business or old business, and by, let's say, sales rep. And I get 2-dimensional pivot table that I can pivot and play with and so on. Very quick.
Great.
So I'm curious, the traditional model of the enterprise seemed to always be coming up with creative ways to make people queue up for stuff, and BI was no exception, right? It was like, everybody
exactly.
was like, hey,
Yeah.
here's the BI thing I need, and the BI wonk would make it. It sounds like you're making this more accessible. I'm curious, with your apps model, are you pre-packaging different types of analytics per user? Is that your model?
Yeah, I think this is the first time in history we can actually do it. It was not even available like 3 years ago, because every deployment of SAP was so customized that you actually had to send somebody to introspect it and find out. We just launched our Salesforce application earlier this week on AppExchange, and it's so cool. It's actually, we are introspecting metadata changes in Salesforce. So even if you do customization to Salesforce, we will see those customizations. We will carry over the customization to GoodData data model. So we will remodel it based on your customization. And then 5 minutes later, you can have full, complete dashboard with 50 different metrics and reports and so on. So that's compression of BI project that would have taken at least 6 months with SAP. Now takes 6 minutes with Salesforce, and so the ability to actually scale is much greater because we can go to thousands and thousands of customers completely automatically.
That's impressive.
That's all the time we have. Thank you very much, Roman.
Excellent.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right, folks, take a deep breath and vote. It's time to vote on your favorite company based upon what you heard. And once you do, you can get up, you can stretch, and move down to the end.